Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Will with Schedulefly, and I'm here in Charlotte at Fran's filling station with owner Fran Scibelli, who's very kind to take some time with me today. Thank you, Fran.
Thank you, Will, for having me.
You got a really neat place here, a neighborhood feel. I'm going to read your mission because I was reading that on your website, and I like it. It's up on a chalkboard here. Welcome to Fran's. My mission is to prepare fresh and carefully crafted food and serve it in a manner that nurtures the spirit as well as the body, capturing the essential meaning of hospitality. So tell me about that, and tell me about how you got into hospitality, because you were an attorney, if I read correctly, prior to this.
Many moons ago.
Many moons ago. I know, I think it's been since like 94 or whatever, but tell me why you got into hospitality and expand a little bit about that statement and what hospitality means to you and why you've chosen to make it your career.
Well, first of all, that the mission statement sort of birthed the name of the restaurant, which is Fran's Filling Station. To be honest, if I had a do-over, I might not call it that because I've had many people think it's a gas station or whatever. Right. But when I really thought long and hard in like 2007 and 8 about whether I wanted to go back into the restaurant business. So to back up a second, I had opened restaurants here in 1994, and that was called Metropolitan Cafe, and I also opened Metropolitan Bakery, which I had for many years. And I ended up sort of selling / dismantling that, deciding that, I needed a break. Because especially the bakery was 24 hours a day, 363 days a year. Yeah. So I decided I need a break. I spent some time back in California where I'd gone to law school. And then I came back here and I thought, gosh, it's so much work. Do I really want to do it? And I thought, but what I feel the most passionately about is the connection to both my customers and my employees. Yeah. And that, sort of prompted the mission statement, which prompted the name Fran's Filling Station, which the idea is we fill up your body, but we also fill up your spirit. But anyway, I was a lawyer, happily practicing in Washington, D.C., and I say practicing happily because a lot of people think you must hate your job if you leave it. Well, that wasn't the case. I liked it a lot. I just thought I might love something more passionately a greater percentage of the time. Yeah. So I, gave a month's notice, quit my job. A fun side story is that when the firm gave me a going away party, as they did for everybody, I had a couple glasses of wine, and only then did I call my father and say, Dad, I'm thinking about quitting my job. Oh my gosh. When my office was packed and boxes were loaded. And he said, what am I going to tell my friends? Click. He hung up on me because to him, being a lawyer was the epitome of everything.
That's okay. We have a quick break in the action, folks.
Okay, hang on just a second.
Yeah.
She subbed the Sienna. Okay. It's fine. And I wrote the check. It's right there. Okay.
The life of the restaurant owner. There's always something going on, isn't there?
But that makes it interesting.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. But anyway, so I did quit my job, and I came to Charlotte, which I thought would be a good market for a restaurant. And I actually trained with my brother Frank at the original Mama Ricotta's, which was like 33 seats back then. Yeah. And then opened Metropolitan Cafe in, I guess, the end of 1994. And that is in South Park, where it's now Barrington's. I sold it to Bruce in 2000. Gotcha. And then I had that restaurant for about a year and a half. And I had seen, and when I lived in Washington, D.C., practicing law, I had seen bread just explode as a phenomenon. And there was no good bread in Charlotte. I had been busing my bread from Asheville the whole time I had the cafe. And then I opened Metropolitan Bakery, so in like in 1995, and had that for 8.5 years.
24 hours a day.
24 hours a day. So that was a pretty big production facility, and that was really interesting. And I loved doing that as well. But there came a time where I said, I need to take a break. And that's when I went back to California, and I worked for Dean and DeLuca in Napa, actually. Oh, okay. Which was a whole different experience because it was running a $10 million store that I didn't own, which makes it a lot easier. Yeah. If you agonize over all decisions when it's your baby. Yeah. Can we take a break for just 1 second?
We sure can take a break for just 1 second.
On the back bar, sorry. Okay.
That's awesome.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. I mean, that's it. You got every decision's kind of coming ultimately through you. That's good. You got people who need to know something.
Yeah. That's why I like to have one. Like, a lot of people ask me, will I, branch out again? But to be honest, like, this is a big job for me. You know, I'm very hands-on. I'm here almost all the time. And I derive a lot of my pleasure from that. Yeah. As well as a small amount of frustration. But, that's par for the course.
What are some of the frustrations? I mean, I know there's a lot, but some of the recurring ones.
Well, I mean, to be honest, if you come to the restaurant, if you see the mission statement, if you see the environment I've created, I think you have a good feeling for what this place is. But, if you have not been here, if you haven't seen the mission statement, I do get a lot of, what is this place? Or what are you trying to say with that? And, I feel like, again, that was a missed opportunity on my part. But, maybe if I had a do-over, it would be Fran's Kitchen and Bar, Fran's Kitchen, or something like that. Because, unfortunately, that mission hasn't always translated. So I would say that's a frustration.
I wonder, though, but it's a unique name, though. So you kind of, does that draw more people to want to know what is Fran's Filling Station? I mean,
some people, but some people are like, oh, is it all comfort food? Is it, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so, I see what you're saying.
I don't want to dwell on the negative, but we're talking about a frustration. That might be one of them.
Yeah, okay.
But just on a day-to-day basis, managing people is, it's a work in progress always.
Always, yeah.
And when you come from a background as a lawyer, you're used to getting yelled at or reprimanded or whatever, and it floats off your back, I mean, that's just the way it is. It's a different world. It's a little bit of a different environment, heightened sensitivity, and you just have to respond to that.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's a work in progress always.
Yeah, a work in progress for you and the staff, probably, I guess.
And as I get older, I'm way more mellow anyway.
You're way more mellow. I hear you.
Yeah. I mean, I'm quite a perfectionist about the food.
Yeah.
I want it to be just right. In the service, I want it to be just right.
Yeah.
And so, you have to train people to see it your way and to understand it from the perspective of the guest.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, that's a tricky part of this whole thing. I mean, everybody struggles with finding and keeping good people and getting them. I mean, that's always just it seems like a tough challenge in your role to find people that will treat your baby like you would.
Absolutely.
Like you would want them to.
Absolutely.
I would imagine when you find one, you do everything you can to keep them.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But it also, it's nice to have mature people, and that makes a big difference. Like, there's a gentleman here, he's actually right behind the bar, who I reprimanded the other day for making an error. And he gave me an excuse, which I thought was not good enough. And, I said, that's not good enough. And he said, I love you, Fran. And that was very meaningful to me because, it was a good tension breaker. It showed his sense of humor, but it showed that he understood what I was trying to do, that it wasn't just about reprimanding him, but it was about the result for the guest.
Yeah.
And so when someone is mature and they understand that, it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, for sure. How long have you been here, did you say?
I've been here almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years in June.
Congrats.
But, I've been in the restaurant business since 1994. Yeah. So it's a long time.
10 years, single location, lots can happen. That's a big accomplishment for sure.
I mean, I try to be very sensitive to the needs of the guest, I started out much more casually. The environment was much more casual. I wanted it to sort of replicate in some ways a Texas Roadhouse, but the food was always intended to be serious.
Yeah.
And, that was a mixed message for some people. And it took one guest saying to me, how can you expect people to pay X for a glass of wine with such a casual environment? Whereas to me, the ideal environment was to be come as you are in jeans or whatever, but get great food and great wine.
Yeah.
But I feel like a little bit, in Charlotte, people expect the environment to match the rest of it. So about 5 years ago, I remodeled, and I think it provides the environment that's a little bit more compatible with the food.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's kind of like you have an expectation. If I'm going to spend this amount, I want this sort of ambience and this. Okay,
exactly. Yeah. But I always try to keep my prices on the lower side.
Tell me about that. Food costs are going up, aren't they?
Well, yeah, but I'm lucky enough to have a really wonderful rent.
Okay.
You know, I did sign my lease at the height of the bubble.
Oh, yeah, right.
So I want to pass that along. And so in turn, if, you know, the environment here is a little more casual, the service is a little more casual, we make up for it with the pricing.
Gotcha.
You know.
Yeah.
But I love to give a value.
Yeah.
And I think that's important.
Sure it is. Sure it is. It keeps people coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I just read something online that said, you know, the food is really good and it's reasonably priced. And that's one of the things I'm trying to accomplish.
Sure. Okay.
Because, again, I mean, we have a really nice clientele. I'm sure they don't need it, but they appreciate it.
So Charlotte's growing. It's a competitive marketplace. A lot of restaurants, a lot of people doing
Hell
good stuff
yeah.
right now.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Where are most of your customers? Are they folks that live in the neighborhoods around here? Are they from all over? And
I would say it's a mix.
Yeah.
We have so many regulars. I mean, I feel blessed to have so many regulars. But at the same time, people always come in and they say, I've heard about this place for a long time.
Yeah.
I never really realized where it was or something like that. You know, we get a lot of that. And once people come in, we really try to make them a regular. But to me, it's a lot, too, about making it a fun environment.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of young people who come, a lot of young people on dates, young people in groups. And I want to make sure they have a good time.
Yeah.
I'm really into the music, you know, having a good soundtrack that contributes to that.
Yeah.
Playing it kind of loud.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but that's what I think it's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And so
I think my servers get a little sick of it, but, you know, it's part of the environment here.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's something that they, that your guests, you know, they know what they're getting and they expect it. But you say you try to get them, turn them into regulars. How?
You know, hey, is this your first time here? What are you having? It's funny because a lot of times people don't realize that I'm the owner of the restaurant. And sometimes I'll end up saying, hey, I'm not some random. I'm just really curious about, you know, what you ordered and how you're experiencing it. But, I mean, I just love to connect with my guests. You know,
Do you
that's
talk
the
to
whole
most
purpose.
of the guests?
Oh, I try.
Yeah.
And, of course, you know, one of the frustrations as we initially discussed was I try to touch every table. And so when people don't say they've had a bad experience and I read about it, I feel frustrated because I would love to fix it while they're here.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes you can't always get what you want, you know?
Yeah.
But then I read about it and I try to correct whatever mistake that might have been.
Do you read about, like, this is on Yelp or whatever?
Well, I try not to look at Yelp too much, but I do look at OpenTable.
OpenTable.
Quite seriously, because, you know, those are people that it's accurate that they've, you know, we know for a fact they've made a reservation.
They made the reservation.
And that's why
and
they're doing a review.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's challenging when you speak to somebody. I guess a lot of people just aren't going to say anything, but they're going to go right about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in fact, many years ago, I had a guest who did verbalize that they had, you know, I forget, it was a long time ago, but something wrong with their dish that we corrected. I think we might have comped it, and then he still went online and wrote something. And, you know, I never really respond, but I did respond and say, you know, I'm just surprised that when we tried to fix it, you still went online and, you know, we had a little back and forth. But like I say, I usually keep it to myself, but, you know, take it seriously and try to improve.
Sure. I mean, do you learn a lot? Do you learn from that? Do you feel like sometimes it's guests that are just
absolutely
just in a bad mood, or do you feel like?
Oh, sure, I do. Yeah, I mean, I just read one that sort of accused us of serving something incorrectly to their table. Said that the wife took a bite out of it, and that felt confident we served that to someone else. Well, we, of course, are never going to serve something with a bite out of it. I mean, it's just not even on the table.
Right.
And how they thought they knew that, you know. So, you know, I
That's odd.
you know, I got to write that off in my mind.
Yeah.
But I still don't respond to it, you know, because I don't think you can ever come off looking calm and peaceful. You know, it's always going to seem like you have an edge when you respond to something like that.
To a comment like that.
So I just let it go and hope that people know that we would never serve something with a bite out of it.
Yeah. You've got a good number of followers on Instagram.
Yeah. I only hired a marketing person about 3 years ago.
Okay.
I think it's 3 years, but I was really very much in the mind of word of mouth.
Yeah.
My old business had been word of mouth. And I realized that in this environment, you gotta get on the stick. And social media is very important. So I hired Corey Smith from Black Wednesday, and she's amazing. I mean, I get a lot of feedback on how good our Instagram is and our Facebook.
Yeah.
And I have nothing to do with it.
That's cool. So you've outsourced that completely.
Yeah. We need to. We need to. Now, we could be better about giving her content on a regular basis, but, you know, my hands are full all the time. But especially if a dish looks really good, I'll take a picture and send it to her.
So you're taking the pictures, but you're sending it over and they're posting it.
Oh, they take some pictures, but
kind of stuff.
But I mean, I'm here all the time, so you know, I'm the one who can say, "Oh, that looks especially good. I want to make sure people see that."
Yeah, and
I mean, I'm still 100% into the food.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I can tell. Yeah.
I mean, I'm always searching for like delicious, because I think that too often we go out, we spend money, and it doesn't reach the level of delicious. And to me, that's the only thing I want to be serving. You know, we don't always achieve it, but that really is what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, you can go out now and spend a lot of money, and when you kind of look at what you spent, and you think about how much I just spent and what did I just have, and
Right.
does it sometimes it doesn't quite add up.
Translate,
I was at a place
right.
recently where I can't remember the amount of money we spent for the portion size / quality
Right.
was pretty extreme, and I thought
Right.
but it doesn't add up to me. And
Well, I mean, you have to be careful because, you know, chefs, they're wonderfully creative, but they're experimenting at the same time. And that's part of what makes culinary so wonderful is their experimentation and creativity. But someone has to be balancing what the guest is experiencing on the other end.
Right. Yeah, that's a tough balance.
It is. And I've had those chefs here.
Yeah.
And I don't have one like that now because, you know, but I'm always trying to make, you know, something creative, something fun. You know, again, food can be fun and whimsical, but at the bottom line, it's got to satisfy the guest.
Yeah, it does. Do you spend a lot of time on the menu and recipes now, or is it the chef do that mainly, or is it a little of both? Or
I mean, I definitely think that I'm more driving on the creative side than he is, but I feel like when it's his dish, it's the best.
Yeah.
You know, he puts his dishes out slightly better than he puts mine out, but I don't have a problem with it. It's coming from his heart, not mine.
Right.
But, you know, we've only been together. His name is Darius Lobos. He's come from the Harper's Group. He was there for 17 years. So I know he's a really talented guy. And I'm trying to let go more. But, you know, it's hard. I always have my point of view on how things look and taste. But he's a really nice person, so I find working with him to be very satisfying.
Yeah.
But again, everything's a work in progress.
Everything's a work in progress always. Yeah.
And as I get older, I understand that more and more.
Yeah, that's something you really come to realize.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For
you can't,
sure.
It's hard to get things perfect all the time. And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, my brother is a parent, which I am not. He has 3 boys. And I feel like just listening to him, the way he parents and the way he coaches as an employer, I've learned a lot from over the years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Just not expecting everything right away.
Right.
You know? And coaching is important. And it's something I'm trying to get better and better at.
Yeah, that's good. So you're really self-aware and trying to learn and grow and improve continuously.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I might be accused of being hard to work for. I actually think I'm not. I think I'm pretty easygoing. But, you know, my name's on the place. So I don't want to be embarrassed, you know. And when I read a review that was like, my glass was empty for 20 minutes, you know, I feel like, okay, let's step it up, guys, you know, because that's pretty easy. That's 101.
Right.
We can do that without too much trouble.
Yeah.
You know. But I understand, you know, they're trying to get the orders in. They're trying to get them right. You know, they're trying to present the wine. And, you know, but it's like, let's get back to basics and make sure we're doing the fundamentals correctly.
Nailing the basics all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and that's so then it becomes just a matter of coaching style or communication style, I guess.
Right. And again, like I say, as I get older, you know, you fuss about the things that are really important.
Yeah.
Not the little things.
Yes.
You know, you cannot win every battle, so.
Right. That is true.
You know, so a simple thing is I just said to myself, you know, like, okay, I'm going to get a lot more water carafes, so every table can get a carafe of water. So we're not going to have that problem. Then we'll just focus on bigger problems.
Right. There you go. Okay. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I just have to order them.
You have to order right. Yeah.
Because it's a one-woman show here some days.
For sure. Okay, good. And are y'all open 7 days?
We're closed on Sunday.
Closed on Sunday. Okay. So
I waffle constantly about whether I should be open on Sunday, but right now we're not. But I always say when I hire a new person, don't be surprised if that happens.
Yeah.
Because, there's an opportunity. I don't want to do brunch, though. I feel like everybody does brunch. We have TVs in the back. I think it would be fun to do some Sunday football thing, but I haven't fully worked it out in my mind. So until then, we're closed on Sunday.
Okay, good. Yeah, probably good to have a data.
Yeah.
Not that you're not doing anything. I'm sure you're doing plenty, but
the schedule.
You're right. That's why you do that on Sundays?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, good. Well, anything else on your mind?
Well, I just read a story on the Observer Online about my search for a kidney, which I shared with you. So since I'm making it public, we could talk about it a little bit. A couple years ago, I found out that I was diagnosed with end-stage kidney disease, which was quite a shock since I just found it out at a routine physical. And I've been on dialysis for about a year and a half, maybe a little more. And that's 3 times a week for 2 hours and 45 minutes. So
you go to a dialysis center and sit for almost 3 hours?
Yeah. So for me, it's a time suck. I'm always thinking about what else I should be doing then. But it's what I need to maintain my health. And, you can see I don't look sick. I don't feel sick.
No, not at all.
I feel great. I'm very active. But, I finally, even though I'm on the donation list, I finally decided that the best way was to find a living donor.
Yeah.
And one of the things the story talks about was a customer of mine. She's been a customer of mine since the beginning, who got really far in trying to give me a kidney and ultimately found out that she had our heart condition that precluded that.
Yeah.
And it was kind of heartbreaking because she got so close. She was ready to schedule it. And unfortunately, she was unable to do it. So I figured that since I have, a small following of customers, that I might as well put it out there in the universe that I'm looking for a kidney, and hopefully somebody will be the one.
Well, now there's more folks that know that are listening here.
Yeah.
And the customer, I guess, in some ways that worked as a blessing for her to find out she I was reading that about something that she would have not known about.
Exactly, because she's really active. She's a runner. She would not have known about it. So
then you can then become a donor if somebody is willing to offer their kidney and maybe it doesn't match for you. They can still possibly find somebody else on the donor list.
Yeah, so it's called a kidney swap so if somebody says we really want to somehow help Fran, but they're not a match for me, the transplant center at CMC can find them someone they are a match for, and then they find me a match, and the transplants happen simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
So it's not hey, I owe you a kidney, Fran. It's this swap's going to happen, and the person who wants to donate who isn't a match for me sort of makes that happen.
Wow, okay. How do you sign up to be a kidney donor?
Well, you would call the transplant center at CMC and just ask for the living donor form, and they would send that to you. And then, to be honest, one thing I've heard is that you have to push a little bit. Like, once you send the form in, they're not going to call you right away. And so I know that Carrie Baldwin, the person who tried to donate to me, really pressed it and was like, hey, I want to get in there. And then, so if you push it a little bit and make sure that they schedule an appointment with you, it will happen.
So this is only for CMC, Caroline's Medical Center. If you're listening to this in California or something like that.
Well, you could
there's
certainly... I don't know.
The national donor...
that might be a way to do it. I don't really know that. And that's something it's in my best interest to find out. But, so I am on the national kidney donor list, but this would be... I think you could be anywhere, but I think you would have to come to CNC because that's where the transplant takes place.
Now,
although with the swap, maybe I got to get some more information.
Get some more information. Yeah, find out more. Okay.
And thank you for that. Well, because honestly, it's something I really should know.
Yeah. Well, then there's like 100,000 people
on the donor list.
So it's a long.
Yeah,
cycle.
I mean, I did sign up to do something that was the nurse who's like sort of my coach advised me to take something like sort of kidneys that are more questionable. It could be someone who was in prison who died, so that might increase my chance of getting a kidney a little bit faster. And the fact that I'm small, I guess, is a good thing. And they consider small anything under 180.
Okay.
So that increases the chance a little bit as well. But they do keep like the recipient and the donor really separate. So that's why I don't know that much about it.
Okay. All right.
They want to make sure that like I'm not paying somebody for a kidney or, otherwise coercing somebody to give me a kidney, that it's a true, just a generous spirited donation.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, I mean, it's good to see that you're able to do the dialysis now and still, I mean, you look
It's amazing. It's amazing how good I feel. Like if you did not tell me I had this disease, I wouldn't believe you. And to be honest, there had to be almost an intervention to get me to go to dialysis because I really felt pretty good. They said I'm sort of amazing. Yeah. Well, which is great.
I hear you.
But again, I recognize that, I do have this disease and I don't want to start feeling bad.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I wish you all the best of luck with that.
Thank you so much.
I hope that somehow this maybe reaches somebody that
I hope so.
You never know. Certainly worth mentioning, and thank you for doing that.
My pleasure.
And thank you for taking the time. I mean, you have a wonderful story. You have a wonderful restaurant. I love the fact that you are, you're constantly trying to balance the way you want things to be and the way they are, and find the right way to kind of grow as a coach and a manager and an owner, and you clearly care very deeply about the experience your guests have.
For sure. I
know it's a wonderful thing to have that mission up there because it kind of keeps everybody on the same page, every day. And I think that's cool for the guests to see that too. It's neat to everybody that's here knows what you're trying to accomplish. So.
Well, I honestly, it's a privilege for me to do it. And I mean that sincerely. I should be more thinking about the bottom line all the time, but that's not what motivates me. Yes, I'm in it to make a living, but I feel like if the guests have a good time, that will follow. Yeah, sure. It takes care of itself. It's the byproduct. Yeah, absolutely, Fran. Thank you very much for doing this. Appreciate the time and appreciate the business. And I need to get your credit card. Your new credit card. Thank you, Will.
Yeah, thank you. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Thanks.